Welcome to the SBR NHL Ice Guys show. We are finally live on this Sunday, April 29th. Some technical difficulties, but we're on and we're ready to go. Talking two playoff games on this Sunday edition of the show with Alex B. Smith and Dana Lane joining us. Let's get right down to business because we got an early game to get us going on this Sunday, 3 p.m. Eastern puck drop. It's game two, Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, 11-12, your rotation numbers. Washington playing about minus 130. A little bit of money coming in on the Capitals this morning. It opened as low as minus 120. It's moved about 10 cents up to minus 130 in most spots. The total, 6 across the board, slightly shaded to the under in this game. Right now, we're looking at a situation where we've got the Pittsburgh Penguins looking to take a 2-0 series lead here in this series. And it looks like they're going to be a game-time decision regarding Evgeny Malkin going into this game, whether he suits up or not for the Pittsburgh Penguins. There's a very much in question going into this game, but it was no problem for them. They had in game one, as we saw. And we talked about it, the depth of the Pittsburgh Penguins, how that could make an impact in terms of the fact that, hey, they didn't have Evgeny Malkin in game one. They didn't have Carl Hagelin in game one. Well, guess what? When you've got center ice depth and you've got guys like your Brian Rusts and your Carter Rowney's and your Derek Brassards that are all capable of stepping up for you, you are more than capable of getting the job done for the Pittsburgh Penguins, despite all the injuries, and they were able to do that. A brutal, to me, as I said on Twitter, a brutal missed opportunity for Washington. You're a team that basically had a chance, especially with a 2-0 lead in the third period, to take a 1-0 series lead, a depleted Penguins lineup. They couldn't hold it. Pittsburgh storms back, 3 unanswered goals in the third period. What else is new? We've only been raving about Sidney Crosby and Jake Gensel for the entire playoffs, especially the first round, and they really are the guys that led the way in that third period comeback for the Pittsburgh Penguins to win 3-2. So a big win for them. This is big for Washington. Obviously, you don't want to go down 0-2 on home ice. They did it against Columbus and were able to come back. Not going to be as easy if they fall into that same deficit here against obviously a team with the pedigree of Pittsburgh, 2-time Stanley Cup champions looking to make it a three-peat for the first time in the NHL since the New York Islanders, Denny Potvin, Mike Bossy, and that great era back in the 1980s. That's the last three-peat we've seen. Penguins trying to get that done this season. So interesting game. I know we'll start with Dana, his take. By the way, I'm on the over. I should mention what I'm on in this game. Yeah, I am on the over in this game, over 6, because I was game one. I was going to sit back and see what happened. I'm telling you what, that game ended 3-2, Pittsburgh, Washington. That game had a ton of giveaways, a ton of chances, and if not for some missed nets and goalposts and some really good goaltending for much of that game from Murray and Holtby, the two goalies, that could have been something like 6-5 even, or 7-6. I mean, it was a little bit of a shinny game, believe it or not, between those two teams. From a trends perspective in terms of totals, Pittsburgh, regular season and in the playoffs so far, they've just had a history of playing these high-scoring over type of games here in these afternoon early starts on these NBC Saturday, Sunday games. Even Washington against Columbus in the first round, there was a game 5 in Washington. It was a Saturday afternoon NBC game, and that one was a very sloppy defensive game. Lots of goals, lots of power plays, bad discipline on both teams in that afternoon game between Columbus and Washington in the first round. Could see that again. And obviously you're dealing with two tremendous power plays here, Pittsburgh and Washington. So I'm going to get in on this over here, over 6 here for this early game, Penguins and Capitals in game 2 after game 1 was a 3-2 final that stayed under. I think we get the reverse happening here this afternoon. Let's go to Dana Lane first, Penguins and Capitals. He came right out and said he likes Pittsburgh to win the series, but doesn't mean you're always going to back Pittsburgh game in and game out. You can't expect even the team you pick in a series to win and roll in 4 or 5 games. The other team is a good team. They're going to find a way to a couple of wins at least in the series, even if they don't win it. Is this one of those days, Dana, that maybe the Capitals find their way to a dig down deep and tie the series kind of win? What do you think?
Well, Ian, I'm kind of glad everything's gone the way it has in the postseason, because I was a little worried, especially here in my backyard, going on record and saying that San Jose would beat Vegas because, and what I did was, I put Vegas in the paper in game 1, and I obviously was compelled to take them in game 2. And, so that you kind of, after 2 games, especially or especially after 2 games, not so much after 1, but after 2 games, you certainly kind of pigeonhole yourself in a position where you don't want to be talking out both sides in your mouth. And that's one of the reasons why I don't love giving out series predictions, because, these things change from game to game. But in this particular matchup tonight, listen, I mean, I don't know how many times the Penguins have got to give the blueprint to the Washington Capitals before they finally get it. This is not a team that you can outplay for 55 minutes and expect to come away with the victory. The Washington Capitals, outside of 5 minutes, were the better team of the two. I mean, how many times have we said this? This would be the Penguins' 10th time, if they win this series, this would be the Penguins' 10th time out of the last 11 series against the Capitals where they have won. And most of the time, it's on their way to the Stanley Cup final, which I think is going to happen again this year. But again, outside that 5-minute stretch, I got to think that Washington's got to feel pretty good about themselves. But this is essentially Game 7, masking itself as Game 2, because if Washington loses this game, this series is completely over. I mean, teams just do not come back after losing the first 2 games at home, and the Capitals should know that, considering they've made a habit of losing the first 2 playoff games against the Pittsburgh Penguins at home. So, look, Malkin's not going to play today. Okay, that has been confirmed just a few minutes ago. Okay, so now they have a window. You have a window where there's a little bit of a chink in the armor for the Penguins. Not much, because we've said this 100 times. This team could even lose Crosby and still be lethal, but it's a chink nonetheless. They have to take control of this situation. I was a little surprised that Malkin didn't play, considering yesterday at practice he didn't wear a non-contact jersey, and he did skate on the 4th line, but it obviously was just a let's see how you're feeling type thing. But listen, Washington needs to get better play from TJ Oshie. That is a guarantee. We always say your best players have to be your best player, and TJ Oshie is certainly one of them. He's really been non-existent, not only in this series, but to end the Columbus series as well. In fact, he's also been out of place numerous times defensively, and he's got to get his head in the game. If he does, Washington's got a chance to win this game. But by taking the Capitals today, which I'm going to, it's only because obviously Washington's a great team. We're not talking about taking the Sabres or the Coyotes here. So they do have a legitimate chance to win this game. But you have to figure, guys, that if they don't win this game, this series is absolutely over. And one of the things, and I'll be brief on this because I know we got a short show, but one of the things that I always look to is guts and determination, and how do you play when games get close, and how do you play during the stretch, and do you have that killer instinct? We used to say that about Kobe Bryant all the time. He's a killer, and we say that in the nicest possible way. The Pittsburgh Penguins are killers. The Washington Capitals are not. And they better become killers today, because if they don't, this series is essentially over. I think the Capitals get it done today. I think it's real close, and I think it will be a situation where the Penguins will go back to Pittsburgh feeling good about their effort on the road against the Caps. But I'll take the Caps one more time today.
Yeah, Washington minus 130. This is definitely not must win, because there's a path for them. They proved they could come back from down 0-2, but you don't want to leave it to that chance. You
not against
try to tie this up. Yeah, not exactly.
This is in Columbus.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be a different situation. You don't want that 0-2 hole. I think Washington understands that. Again, this is a mental hurdle that Washington's got to try to get over, and that's really beating this team and winning in this round are the 2 hurdles. We'll see if Washington can take a step to overcoming those today. We've got Alex now in with the Penguins and Capitals. What's your take on it, Alex?
I'm going the exact same way with the Capitals. Like I said, this is knowing the history of this team. We've seen them struggle time and time again. And they've not just against this team, but just in the playoffs. I've talked about it ad nauseum about, just how you can't trust this team. This is a Game 7 for them. They don't win here, they're done. And, and Dana just nailed it on the head. This is a team where great players, great talent, but they got to put it together against a Pittsburgh team that is missing Malkin. Had a chance, had a 2-0 lead. Is it just a demoralizing loss that they're coming off of? Everything pieced together. If they don't put it together now, when is it going to happen? It's not. This, like I said, this isn't Columbus. This is Pittsburgh. This is a team that's more than likely going to run and make another run at the Cup and win a third straight time. This is not, a time to screw around here. They got to start fast and play a 60-minute game. Like I said, they can't play 5 minutes, can't have a 2-goal lead and start, leaning back and resting on their laurels. They got to really push everything all in. So, yeah, I'm going with the Capitals here. If they don't win here, and I'll probably just be on the Penguins the rest of the way.
All right, Washington minus 130 to tie this series up. Yeah, that seems to be the consensus for sure in this game. And again, Washington's got to find a way to get this done today because they're in a big-time hole going down 0-2. Oshie was good on the power play, but I think 5-on-5, he's got to step up, as Dana alluded to. I think he got a few nice little power play goals in the Columbus series, but 5-on-5, he's been quiet. It's been really relying on Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, and guys like that. Even Tom Wilson can chip in a goal here or there for this Washington team, but I'm still concerned about the drop-off in the bottom six, for this Washington team. And going into this series, they're going to need eventually some kind of production from your bottom six forwards moving forward in this series. Your Jacob Vranas and Lars Eller and Connolly and Smith Pelly, they're going to have to do something for you at some point. We'll see if Washington can maybe get some supporting cast production starting today in Game 2. Next up, we've got Winnipeg taking on Nashville, Game 2 of this series, 13-14. Nashville minus 170 to minus 175, home favorite. The total 5.5, slightly shaded to the over, about minus 115 in this game. Now, on paper, when you look at shots, when you look at territorial play, you're going to see that, yeah, it was complete domination by the Nashville Predators, and it was a very good game in net for Connor Hellebuck, no question. But a lot of those chances to me weren't the best quality of chances for Nashville. I don't think they owned the middle of the ice enough. They weren't able to get into those inside tough areas of the ice in front of the net much. A lot of their stuff was kept to the periphery. So while it was a ton of shots they plastered on Connor Hellebuck in that game, I think they've got to get higher quality looks. They got to get more traffic in front of the net, something they didn't do a good enough job in against Winnipeg. I think that's going to help them out a little bit. This is one of those not 50 shot outputs where, the goalie completely stood on his head and robbed Nashville of the win. He was very good, Hellebuck, but I don't think the quality of chances were what Nashville was kind of hoping for. And Peter Laviolette kind of alluded to that after the Game 1 loss. So I think for Nashville, it's crash the net, look for traffic, look for rebounds, and enough with the slap shots, okay? PK Subban's in love with the slap shot. How about a nice little wrist shot from the point every now and then, just to get the thing through the shot blockers, get some traffic in front, and look for a rebound. You don't always have to pound it on net, and then I see him miss the net by 15 feet. And you have no rebound. You have no second chance when you do that. And the puck usually has to come all the way around the boards and out. So, PK loves just ripping it and shooting as hard as he can. Take a little, off it, the puck sometimes. Same with Ryan Ellis. Ryan Ellis is guilty of that too for Nashville at times. Just a little wrister sometimes will do. Sometimes the best decision that a defenseman with a good point shot can do is not so much the clapper. It's just a nice little wrist shot to just get it through the shot blockers, get it toward the net. Maybe it hits something in front and there's a loose puck there waiting for a rebound. Goalie can't pick it up. Goalie can't track it through traffic. And then the next thing you know, you've got a goal. I think you're going to see that kind of little alteration and adjustment from the Nashville defensemen going into Game 2. At least that's what I'd be telling them to do. Peter Laviolette's the guy making the bucks as the head coach, so I'm sure he's on top of that and is probably telling them the same thing. But I think Nashville's going to look to get a little bit more traffic here in front of the net, in front of Hellebuck. Winnipeg, it's not like they pelted Pekka Rinne with a ton of shots in Game 1, but they capitalized on their chances. They don't need a bunch of chances to score. That's how good their finishers are. Scheifele and Lyonnais and Kyle Connor and Little and Wheeler, and you go on down the list. They've got it more than enough guys that you give them one little opportunity, they can capitalize on it. So I do expect Nashville to be ultra aggressive today, throw everything at the net, get more traffic, get into the areas of the ice, do a better job winning one-on-one puck battles in the offensive zone, something they didn't do a good enough job of in Game 1. I think they even up this series. Hey, you know what? You talk about Pittsburgh needing to win to avoid an 0-2, or Washington needing to win to avoid an 0-2 hole at home. It's even more paramount Nashville wins today. Like, you're not just down 0-2 and going on the road and say, okay, we can regroup on the road. And you're going in to the whiteout. You're going into the dungeon. You're going into a building that is going to be absolute crazed building, the MTS Center in Winnipeg. And going down there 2-0 is not what you want. You can't have it if you're Nashville. You absolutely can't. That's not your average road building that you're going to. It's one of the top environments in the NHL. It's proven all year how loud Winnipeg can get. Winnipeg, Nashville, Vegas, you throw a coin flip between who's the loudest building. They're all extremely loud. You don't want to go down to that building 2-0 down if you're the Nashville Predators. You've got to take care of business here tonight, as far as I'm concerned in this game. I'm going to be looking at the over one more time, 5.5 for the game, but there's something I like even more. In terms of a bet for this game, I'm going to go the team totals route in terms of the Nashville side here in this game. I think the dam is going to burst a little bit tonight after, and again, we've got Connor Hellebuck making a ton of saves, very busy. I've mentioned that fatigue element. Goalie off a ton of saves the last game. Sometimes he's not as sharp that next game, and I think you might see that from Connor Hellebuck. So I can get an over 3.5 team total on Nashville plus 120. I think they can crack 4 tonight. I think they're really going to be aggressive, push it, get some power plays, win some more one-on-one battles that will lead to more power plays, and be able to get to 4 goals on their own. So I'm going to go with that over 3.5 with the Nashville team total. Like that even more, actually, than the full game over. Let's go to Alex this time to start with him this time with this game, Winnipeg, Nashville, game number 2 of this series. Alex, congratulations. You had the under in game 1. Very good call. Really, it had no business being as close as it was. It was the third period, got it a little helter-skelter there, but good call on that. What do you like here in game 2, if anything?
Yeah, no, like I said, I got lucky with that under in a sense because of obviously the empty net goal that made it 4-1. But like I said, they played very slow in the first period, and there was no scoring whatsoever. Got really physical, and then things kind of opened up from there. I think we're gonna see something different here tonight. And like I said, in the last show, I said I like the under in game 1, but I think the over is probably gonna hit more often than not the rest of the way, and that's where I'm gonna be looking here. Like I said, Nashville's got to find a way to get more traffic in net. And you look at Winnipeg scoring 3 goals, basically, like I said, take away that empty net goal, 3 goals on 19 shots. This is a team that can really light it up. You give them a chance to shoot 30 or 40, they can easily get the over by themselves. So I'm going to look at the first period over as well. I think we should see some early scoring as opposed to what we saw in game 1. And I'm going to be looking at the over 5.5 and get it at minus $1.10.
All right, so first period over 1.5, full game over 5.5 for Alex with Winnipeg, Nashville game 2. Let's go to Dana Lane, Winnipeg, Nashville. I think I know where he's going because he said, he actually likes Winnipeg to win the series, but I get that similar feeling. We're talking about a quality club in a quality arena where they don't rarely lose 2 in a row very often. I think I know where he's headed, Dana. Am I right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is another basic game 7. And as there are 3 arenas in this league, and the MTS Centre, whatever that is, in Canada, and then Vegas and Nashville. These are 3 places you don't want to go to down O2. And by the way, it's spelled SCENTRE for some reason. Anyway,
listen, Dana, quickly, believe me, I'm Canadian.
Please.
I'm Canadian on that, and even I can't stand that spelling. I don't understand it at all. TRE, I don't understand that.
When you get through spelling center correctly, could you also work on the word favorite? I don't know what that is. Hey, listen, I'm so happy that Peter Laviolette and his boys were, giving themselves a pass the other night by talking about how well they played. In fact, a few of them talked about that this was probably the best effort that they've had all season. So I'm glad that they're giving themselves a pass. But, this is the same situation as the Washington Capitals are in, except they have a lot more as far as the series goes on. I mean, I have a lot more confidence in the Nashville Predators than I do the Washington Capitals. But like you said, Ian, a few wristers to the point. That's really kind of their game. I know Subban's in love with the slapper, but they're very similar to the Capitals. In fact, whether a lot of their offense comes from wristers from the point, and they didn't do enough to cloud Hellebuck's vision. They didn't do enough to get a position in front of Hellebuck to get greasy goals. Hellebuck was able to see basically every shot that came his way, and I don't care if you have 70 shots a night. I mean, if you're not clouding the vision or making it difficult for the netminder to track the puck, then you're simply not going to beat a National Hockey League goaltender, no matter how impressive the shots on goal look. I think Nashville would do a better job than they did in game 1. Maybe not getting that many shots, but the quality chances will certainly go up. One first about with the Predators is the fact that they stayed out of the penalty box. And we talked about this on the last video, that Nashville's issue all year long with constantly going into the box, and that continued into the Colorado series. Well, game one against Winnipeg, they didn't find themselves in there at all, and I thought that was encouraging as the series goes on. Even though I think Winnipeg will, their combination of speed and physicality will wear Nashville down eventually. But again, we figured to have Nashville's best effort in game two. We're not going to have to give up a ton because we're going to get them in regulation, but they certainly need their top two lines to produce, and especially that Johansson and Victor Arvidsson, because obviously 2 goals in 10 combined games is not gonna cut it. They need their top line to show up and be effective. But I think Nashville wins today. I'm going to take them in the regulation, obviously, because we're not going to give up the money line price. But minus $1.15 or so in regulations where I'm going to go.
Yeah, exactly. That's the price we're seeing about Buzz. It's actually as low as a plus 100 even at Pinnacle, but most of the places are minus 110, minus 115 regulation line. Great price for sure with Nashville to get it done in 60 minutes today. All right, let's go to best bets to wrap up this abbreviated Sunday edition. We just wanted to come on, give you the 2 games on Sunday, get in and get out kind of thing, and that's what we do on Sundays. We'll be back with a full 1-hour show tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific on Monday. We're going to talk about the 2 games taking place, Boston, Tampa. How about those Bruins yesterday, game 1, taking down Tampa in the first game in Vegas, San Jose. I'm not even saying, I'm zipping my lip today about it. We're going to get into this goalie thing, interference thing tomorrow, and you better believe it. That's worth tuning in all by itself tomorrow, what I'm going to say about that. A complete and utter joke, but that's just a little teaser for tomorrow. We'll get into that. Dana Lane, let's start with you. Best bet for the Sunday card.
Well, I'm going to exhale before I say this because I know how this usually works out. I know how this is going to work out, but I'm going to take the Washington Capitals one more time tonight because if they don't win tonight, I mean, this series is over. They're likely in a position where they could get swept at that point. I think mentally this series will be over for them as well, more importantly. So we'll take the Caps today, minus $1.20, 25, whatever you can get.
All right, Washington. Let's see. Best price right now is at $1.30. Currently at Heritage, Greek. All of those places have $1.30. It's up to 35 at 5 dimes. So we'll go Washington minus 130. Dana Lane for his best bet on Sunday. Alex B. Smith, what do you got for us for best bet?
I'm going to go with Winnipeg and Nashville over 5.5. You can find it, like I said, minus $1.05 or $1.10. Like I said, I think we're going to see a lot more scoring here. I think teams, they're going to try and clog up things, make things difficult for both goaltenders, and I think we're going to be able to find both teams going to find ways to get some shots in. So I'm looking at the over 5.5 as my best bet.
All right, Winnipeg, Nashville over 5.5, and I'm coming from that Winnipeg, Nashville game, and I'm going to go with that team total. I like that a lot. Nashville, we're going to go over 3.5 plus 120 team total. I think they get to 4 against Connor Hellebuck. I think they're going to be, again, do all the things they didn't do in game 1. Yeah, the shots were there. I'm not convinced the quality in terms of chances were there. I think they'll be there tonight in a game they've got to get. Let's take Nashville over 3.5 plus 120 for their team total. That'll be my best bet for the Sunday show. That'll wrap it up. Thanks to and Andrew. I got to throw Andrews out there. Andrew McGinnis, he's got a best bet he passed along. He's on the Pittsburgh, Washington over 6 plus 100. In that early game, Penguins and Capitals plus 100 over 6 Penguins and Capitals. Andrew's best bet for this Sunday card. All right, and that's going to wrap up the show. Again, we're back with you tomorrow, Monday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific. All 4 series are going to be on the table, guys, tomorrow because we're going to have Boston, Tampa, Vegas, San Jose on Monday. We're going to be talking the Tuesday games as well, Washington, Pittsburgh game 3. Nashville, Winnipeg game 3. So looking forward to that. 4 games, all 4 series to be talked about on tomorrow's show on Monday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, when we join you again for our next edition of the NHL Ice Guys. For Alex and for Dana, I'm Ian Cameron for Sportsbook Review. We're back again tomorrow. Enjoy the Sunday games. We'll see you again on Monday.